Midnight Patriots Nation. Welcome to another edition of Midnight Bites. The title of tonight's episode: What if it were Trump supporters? Quick disclosure before we get started here. We have been aware of this article since its publishing but had to give it a few days to cool off. What we are about to discuss is a lightning rod topic, and you'll see why in a minute. From FoxNews.com, June 30th, headline: Minneapolis protesters hold City Council VP hostage by blocking vehicle, demanding riot charges dropped. Here is the summary and our take on it. The vice president of the Minneapolis City Council, Andrea Jenkins, says she was, quote, held hostage while attending a pride celebration over the weekend, as video shows a large group of protesters blocked her vehicle until she agreed to sign a list of their demands that included dropping criminal charges against rioters. Ms. Jenkins represents Minneapolis' 8th Ward and identifies as the first Black, openly transgender woman to be elected to office in the U.S. In a statement Tuesday, Jenkins said that it is also time to stop the holding of Black-owned businesses, the neighbors and residents of the neighborhood near George Floyd Square hostage more than a year after Floyd's death. Midnight Patriots Nation. Were you paying attention to the self-description there? Moving on. Jenkins was attending the Taking Back Pride event in Loring Park, as video shows Jenkins sitting in the front seat of a vehicle being blocked by a group of extreme Black Lives Matter demonstrators, many recording with cell phones. A 23-minute-long video, shared to Facebook, shows the handwritten list of, quote, the people's demands, that were shouted at the councilwoman one by one, demanding agreement. While Jenkins eventually caved to all the demands, save one, and signed the document, she protested the final demand, which was to, quote, leave George Floyd Square alone, period. Evidently, the councilwoman, who was a huge proponent of defunding the police, refused to be kept out of the district she was elected to represent. In a statement on her Facebook page Tuesday, she provided the gory details of the incident, which in part states, on Sunday afternoon, while attending a pride event in Loring Park, I was verbally attacked, berated and held hostage against my will by a large group of angry protesters. I can't tell people how to express their anger, their fears or their pain, but I do know that when your pain impacts others, then that becomes problematic, and that, quote, she refused however to be bullied and held hostage to somehow accomplish that. Jenkins wrote. However, it is time to stop holding of the Black-owned businesses, the neighbors and residents of that area hostage. Okay. Who wants to tell her? Midnight Patriots Nation. Who wants to tell Councilwoman Jenkins that allowing residents of her district to be held hostage for over a year is not doing her job? Mayor Fry issued an extremely weak condemnation of the incident involving Jenkins Tuesday afternoon. Fry tweeted, quote, holding elected officials accountable is good. Holding people for hours against their will until they're compelled under duress to take positions is not, the mayor tweeted. This isn't a matter of politics or policy. We should all call this behavior out for what it is, fundamentally wrong. Okay. Midnight Patriots Nation. I can't. I just can't. Am I the only one whose head is about to explode here? Seriously? The effort by both Fox News, Andrea Jenkins, and Mayor Fry to intentionally softball their descriptions to avoid the, oh-so-obvious, criminal actions on tape here is simply nauseating. If you aren't pissed off at this point, you weren't paying attention. I'm not a lawyer, but let's replace the BLM extremists in this story with Trump supporters for just a minute. We have 1. Elected city official held against her will. I'm no lawyer, pretty sure that meets the definition of, say it with me, kidnapping. 2. While, quote, held hostage, she was forced to agree to and sign a list of politically motivated demands. Gee, I don't know, but don't terrorists do that exact same thing? 3. She is a transgender woman of color. Wouldn't this fit the exact definition of, say it with me now, hate crime? My friends, this is the epitome of liberal privilege, double standard, selective enforcement, and media bias, all rolled into one. Have those same, quote, protesters been waving American flags, wearing Make America Great Again hats and t-shirts, carrying Trump signs, or even in the remotest vicinity of a Trump rally? The article would have sounded something more like this. Right-wing domestic terrorists kidnap transgender, Minneapolis City Council VP. While attempting to leave a Pride event on Sunday, Audrea Jenkins, the first transgender woman of color to be elected to public office in the U.S., recounted the details of the traumatic nightmare she suffered at the hands of Trump supporters in an effort to advance Trump's agenda of hate. SWAT teams from 4 surrounding districts immediately descended on the area to take control of the scene, to arrest the kidnappers and put an end to this tragedy. In a live interview on the Communist News Network, Councilwoman Jenkins read back the list of racially motivated demands, including in part the immediate release of Derek Chauvin, dropping all charges against the officers involved, restoring and increasing funding for the Minneapolis Police Department, and that she commit to ending the George Floyd Plaza autonomous zone. Mayor Frye strongly condemned the actions in a tweet Tuesday morning, saying, "We will never tolerate hate in our community. All resources will be brought to bear to ensure the perpetrators meet justice." Frye has also called for an immediate investigation by the DOJ into the possible hate crimes. Soon after, the Biden administration stated it will lend whatever assistance is necessary to bring these hate-mongers to justice. That sound about right? Some final thoughts here. Dan Bongino recently pointed out that one of the first signals of a socialist or communist takeover is selective enforcement of the law to advance a political agenda. I ask you, is that not what we just read about? Realize that as of the time of this taping, no charges have been filed against any involved. We recommend you read the article for full details. What are your thoughts? Let us know down in the comments section. Midnight Patriots Nation. That's it for this episode of Midnight Bites. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode.